Morning. Div graph? What are you talking about? What div graph does Jordan Pie have? Let's take a look. Expectation. Reality. Mid-skill to high skill. Low skill to high skill. Yeah. Are you saying Div 10 is mid-level? That's clearly what you're saying. It's crazy. But yes, what I think a lot of people miss, which there's no excuse to be missing this, is that it is a pyramid. Not everybody's going to get banned from low ink. Not everybody's going to make it into the plus servers. It is the more you climb up the tower, the more you look around to your sides and start to realize, wait, there's less people with me now. That's how it works. You start to feel more alone. And that's why you develop an ego. I will like this tweet. Thank you. I sneeze a lot in my life. I sneeze like nobody else. But I have never sneezed in 242 episodes. Is there something to do with the fact that if you are talking constantly, you're less likely to sneeze or something like that? With how much of my life has been recorded on camera, live, for the past 4 years, I'm surprised there's never been an instance of me sneezing with how often I sneeze IRL. My point is that there's a lot more variability within each div. Oh yeah, well, first off, divs don't mean anything anymore. It's been 2 months, and a Div 6 playoff team just won low ink. But as somebody who's on the seating council, I can tell you, Divs 8 through 10 are pretty much the same thing, and there's about a combined 250, 300 teams in those divs. So it's like, we're splitting hairs, like, yeah, maybe you should be Div 8 instead of Div 9. And even within divisions, you got, like, little subdivisions if you want to do it like subdivisions. I live in a subdivision. What if the Splatoon community is just a metaphor for a giant subdivision? What if we all went to the same high school in the same subdivision? I'd drop out. If we went to the same high school in the Splatoon community, I would drop out of high school. I would be a delinquent. I'd rob banks for a living. Trains. Be a pirate. You don't need a high school degree to be a pirate, do you? I feel like you could just get away with that. Hello, Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are apologizing to me in DMs for underperforming in this low ink, trying to claim that you had 2 buys during Swiss Saturday, making a new Pokemon for Looty called Looty Colo, whatever it is that you're doing right now. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Riptide registration closes in a week. That was the announcement that was made on Friday the 23rd. So does that mean it closes on Friday? I have no idea. But who here is on the fence about going to Riptide? Is there anybody that's like, I don't know if I should or shouldn't? Isn't it a little bit too late to be making those kinds of decisions? Unless you just live in Northern Ohio, like, isn't a week and a half a little bit of not enough time to decide if you're going to take time off of work or school to fly to a certain part of the country to participate in a tournament that you don't even have teammates for yet? Like, it blows my mind how people wait to the last possible second to sign up for this thing, given how much planning you have to do to actually go into that. So if you're on the, I don't know if I should or not, like, what are you doing? Like, what? Get your life together. Like I do, obviously, talking into the corner of my room, live on Twitch. It's going to be a fun tournament, though. The Lazy River to the water park has been closed. However, they're going to have the outdoor portion of the water park open. That's going to be a first. There has never been a Splatoon LAN at a Kalahari, except for, like, I guess the maybe Smash and Splash. I don't know. But when we go to Low Tide City, it's always before Memorial Day, so the outdoor pool's not open. And whenever we go to Riptide, it's always after Labor Day, so the outdoor pool is yet again not open. So this will be the first time Riptide or Low Tide City, the outdoor pool will actually be open. That's cool for PJ. I'm sure we'll find ways to get him out and splash around a little bit, have fun there. I will not be splashing around in a water park outside. I just got a brand new tattoo, a pretty hefty one on the upper side of my right side of the body, and I need to stay. I think I can get into a water pool after a certain amount of time, but you don't need to expose it to sun because it takes forever for those things to heal. So, but still, outdoor water park sounds like a really cool thing. So, and it's gonna be hot as balls, I'm assuming, still, because it is crazy hot right now in the Midwest, at least where I am. And no signs of it being anything but that next weekend as well. Not this upcoming one, but the one after that. I will be previewing Riptide. I can't talk about all 100 teams. I can't do that. But the teams I want to talk about, the teams I actually know or I have something to say, I'll say something about them. And we'll try to get a guest on to talk about Riptide as a whole and maybe like Splatoon LANs, what the future of those things are like. Because if you notice, there's been nothing announced for what's after this. There's obviously no Big House. There's no confirmed sequel to Low Tide City. I think we all kind of assume MomoCon is going to be a thing again next year, but who knows? There's nothing to look forward to that's been announced as of yet. So what's coming up down the pipe? What should we be excited about? Maybe we can find someone to answer those questions for us. But that is going to be next week on Labor Day. Going to be off from work. Yay. News of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listener of the Popcast. This is a spectator week. We need more spectator events, not events that everyone can sign up for and you don't really care who's playing, but more so events that you care about watching and talking about and getting excited about and just growing excitement for the game in general. On Saturday, the Sindao season finale is going to be taking place. I don't know if it's been announced what stream that's going to be on, but you could probably take a guess. That is going to be Saturday. I don't know what 12 teams have qualified for it, but I'm sure that'll be tweeted out at some point down the line. On Sunday is going to be week 1 of the 20XX League. A lot of great matches. I don't know if those have been publicized yet. I know what matches are going to take place. I've made my predictions on who I think is going to win what set. The 20XX League is a lot easier to predict than the low inks, believe it or not. So, stuff to watch on Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully, people can tune in and view those things because those things are awesome to look at. Much more better to have spectator events versus the gazillions and gazillions of just normal, boring double M tournaments that seem to be cranked out every single day. Today we're going to be recapping Low Ink. All of it. Swiss, Gamma, Beta, Alpha bracket in that order. No Delta bracket because you guys didn't earn it. We don't love you enough to give you a Delta bracket this month, and certainly no Epsilon bracket. It's been a while since we had one of those, thank God. But we're going to be recapping all of that stuff. There's a lot of teams that popped off this weekend, and we're going to try to give as many shout-outs to teams who deserve it as we can. So all that and more. But first, it is no secret that my low ink top 10s are usually bad. They're usually pretty dog water. Still, I haven't been horrible as of late. I haven't predicted like the actual winner several years in a row now. I think I've only done it correctly like 4, maybe 5 times. But the team that I went on to win has been in the past couple of months somewhere in like my top 5 somewhere. Like you get a sense of like what teams have a chance of actually winning these things. And I've been pretty close. I'm not hitting the bullseye, but we're getting pretty close to that. And I enjoy doing the top 10s. That's something I started doing 4 years ago just to see, you know, what would it be like to rank some of the best teams in low ink on a weekly basis. And that seems to be one of my more popular segments over the past 4 years as far as doing that. I think it's good. I think it's fine to do the top 4 thing. It gives teams recognition for teams that deserve it. It's, you look at the like the college football preseason top 25, and that's never how it ends up. Well, yeah, but going into the season, you can at least acknowledge, hey, you guys going into this one are really good. Whether it turns out that way or not, we'll see, but it at least gives you some acknowledgement before things go on. And that's really what the top 10 has kind of become. Who are the top 10 best teams that have earned the right to be seen as some of the best teams going into this low ink based on what they've done in the past month or what they historically have done as well? Does it add pressure to teams? Yes, I would assume it does if you let it add pressure to you. I think some people care. I think some people don't. I have gotten DMs in the past, and I know everybody's just joking, but I have gotten DMs in the past that say, like, I'm sorry we didn't do as good as you predicted us to. And I'm like, you are joking, right? Like, you honestly don't really give a shit what I think, do you? Like, I'm just trying to give you some, hey, good job. You're doing good. I'm not trying to be like, hey, everybody, target on this player's back. And a lot of you put that target on your back anyways by just being that good. I just like to come on here and at least say, hey, that team really is that good. It's part of the difficulty for running low ink. But it is hard to predict the actual winner. And it's not just the me thing. Community top 10s that have been out, the people who have made top 10s in the past on their own that don't do it anymore, people that will do it in the future are going to find picking the one team out of the 150 some odd teams that sign up is extremely difficult to do. And it's usually that team that is completely under the radar, nobody really thinks about, that comes out of nowhere and wins this tournament. However, this month is the outliers of outliers. Of the 10 teams that I had in my top 10, including the 2 teams that dropped and never actually play. So only 8 teams in my top 10 actually played. But we will include the 2 teams that dropped because I thought they would, so that's why I included them in there. Of the 10 teams in my top 10, how many of them qualified for Alpha Bracket? 0. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I did not even pick a single Alpha Bracket team. And there were 16 of them, and I didn't even get one of them right. That is insane. Now, I'm not going to go back over my top 10 list, and I'm not going to be like, well, this team underperformed, this team underperformed. Like, that's not what the point of the Popcast is. This isn't a... Low-ink teams you shouldn't be critical of. We try to put people up on, like, give people pats on the back here on the podcast when it comes to low-ink. But when people underperform or they don't do that well, we try not to acknowledge it. However, you do have to at least acknowledge the other people that do good. So if you get upset, we're going to pat the team on the back that upsets you, and that's not meant to say, well, you're washed, you're dog water, like you'll see at top level kinds of things. Now, when I talk about top tier teams, I've been, critical of Moonlight before. That's because Moonlight's all the way up at the top. You're allowed to be like, hey, when are you guys going to start winning some of these tournaments? You can do that with the people at the top. Be fairly critical, but I don't think it's even fair to be fairly critical of low-ink teams. That's not what we're doing here at all. Oh boy. But you do have to acknowledge how deserving of this top 10 these teams were. Like, these weren't just random teams that I just pulled up there. Like, this isn't just some, maybe this team will do good. No. On my top 10 were Div 5 teams, which there are very few left in low ink. Div 6 playoffs teams that went really deep into the Div 6 playoffs, teams that have been popping off in SOS, that have Ludi success, that have alpha bracket experience in low ink, deep alpha bracket experience. We got teams that have almost made podium that was in my top 10 that didn't even come close to making alpha bracket this time around. It's understandable for like 1 or 2 or 3 teams to just have like an off Saturday, or they just have to play each other in Swiss over and over again and they knock each other out. But all 10 of them ran into the low ink bug on Saturday. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. So am I still bad at predicting things though? Yes, of course. Of course. Now, that's going to change with my 20XX predictions. I'm going to get every single match correct. Starting this weekend, I'm going to start off 4-0. But low ink, yes, I'm obviously not that great at it. And fair enough. We'll get them right eventually. But the average will work out eventually. I'll get the next team. Next month, I'll correctly predict the winner. I did get one thing right, though. Rewind the VOD back to Friday. What is something that I said? I said that Div 6 was going to do really well this weekend. I said Div 6 was going to dominate this Div 5 and below tournament based on the number of teams that we kicked out and who all was left, and the fact that it's been 2 months since we last did a low ink. Since everyone got a Div 2 months ago, a lot of teams have really grown since then. So I said the Div 6 teams were going to pop off. I was right. In fact, I predicted that because of my top 10 list. I had Div 6 teams at my number 2, 3, and 5 spots. They dominated my top 5. And I was correct. Div 6 did dominate this tournament. It just turns out I had the wrong Div 6 team is all. So let's back up for a bit. Who usually wins these things, right? If we're thinking about the long-term history of low ink, it's usually that unknown team underneath the radar. There's no pressure on us. We're just happy-go-lucky. We're coming in here. We're going to beat everybody with our silly comp. And then before you even realize who we are or anything about us or the Twitter account we made 2 days ago, we've already won the tournament and you'll never hear from us again. That's the traditional low ink, it seems like, for the past couple of years. Well, instead of that team winning, how about an actual legit team winning? A team that went 6-0 in January, then followed that up by going 4-2, and then 3-3, and then back to 4-2 and making beta bracket. How about a Div 6 team that did make the playoffs due to a tiebreaker that worked out into their favor because they lost twice. They got 3-2, but they found their way into the playoffs of Div 6. And then got swept out of round 1 in the playoffs 5-0. They went into the playoffs, played their opponent, and their opponent politely packed up their bags for them, handed it to them, and said, you may now exit the playoff facility. The doors are right over there. Have fun. And they're like, okay, cool. Nice. Yeesh. That team had won. That team that I'm talking about here had one of the most dominant Sundays we have ever seen, matching Rising Matrix's legendary record of only losing one individual game in all of Sunday. Only one individual game they lost. They closed out the tournament winning every single set, sweeping the vast majority of them. Now, they didn't get many wins as Rising Matrix. Nobody will. Rising Matrix played in an era where Grand Finals was best of 7. Why did we do that? And round 1 was best of 5. So nobody's going to match Rising Matrix win total. It's not even possible. But you can match their losing total by only losing once or doing what I don't think anybody has done, gone undefeated on Sunday. And that's pretty impressive to do for this team. Of course, I am talking about none other than Manta Boat Fan Club. There's been a lot of fan clubs pop up lately, but none has been as impressive as Manta Boat Fan Club has been, except for the 2 fan club teams in 20XX. I think they might beat them. Whew. Yikes. Now, how did this happen? How did Manta Boat Fan Club win this tournament? This tournament that has been dominated by the Div 5 monsters, the usual alpha bracket regulars. Like, how did Manta Boat Fan Club sneak into this tournament and just win it? Well, surely they dodged teams, right? Like, surely they didn't play any of the tough teams. They just got a lucky schedule in the Swiss round, and they didn't play anybody that was tough in alpha bracket because somebody eliminated, like, the actual monsters. No, actually, they played all the top teams that were left in alpha bracket, and they actually swept the team that finished in second place. They beat them twice and beat them on their own counter picks 4 times. They were 4-0 on Meows the Chance counter picks in winners finals and grand finals. Well, surely they've added somebody, right? If this was a team back in January that was playing in low ink, and then they finally take that step up. The last time they played in low ink, I believe they went 4-2 in beta bracket. Well, to make that jump, clearly they added somebody to their roster. That's what Destiny Troops did. What really elevated us to being a low ink champion team is that we recruited 2 more players. We added in Klang and Zonink, who both pushed us over the top and made us the low ink champions we were 4 years ago. Several teams do that. Whenever you see a team move up, usually it's because they've added a new player that helps elevate everybody else around them. Well, it is correct to say that Manta Boat Fan Club did change their roster. The change they made from April to this month is that they lost a player. One of their players that was active on the roster last time in April, that was now set to inactive. That's it. It's the same exact roster. It's literally the same exact roster. They didn't add anybody. Well, yeah, they added a sub for a couple of games, it seems like, to help them get through Swiss, which, by the way, if they didn't get that sub, they probably don't even qualify for Alpha Bracket anyways. So thank you for the subsystem to even allow Man to Boat Fan Club to qualify for Alpha Bracket, because they seem to be having issues getting enough players to get through Saturday. But they didn't add a brand new player. They just got good on their own. That is unheard of. That is honestly unheard of. And that is good news for every single team that is struggling right now. If you went 3-3 in this tournament, well, guess what? Next month, you don't even have to change your roster. All you have to do is get good with the teammates you got right now. That's all you got to do. That's what Man to Boat Fan Club did. They just got good. And you could win the low ink. Not only win, you could dominate it. Have a historic run through low ink with the same exact roster you have right now. It's not likely. And I would say the path Man to Boat Fan Club took is one that is extremely rare. And there has to be some teams in like the same realm as them, but not many. Usually it's either like a pickup or a team that's changed their roster or something like that. To keep the same core over that time and then to grow to win low ink overnight is unheard of. But it is at least proven now to be possible. They weren't the only ones that popped off, though. Lots of teams to give shout-outs to today. But like I said Friday, because a lot of teams were disappointed with how their results were this weekend. One low ink doesn't define you. What you want to look for is consistency. You can trip up, go 3-3, 2-4 in a month and be like, lol, I played bad. Let's throw the tape out the window, go after it again next month. Maybe things will lark out a little bit better into our favor. We'll be right back into alpha and we can make another run at it again. That is what the vast majority of these teams that are not happy with how they did this weekend, that's what they're going to do. For the teams that did pop off, though, congratulations. Is low ink a true bar meter? A true way to measure how much you have grown? In some ways, yes. In some ways, not. But you cannot argue with success. Dubs are dubs, however you look at them, and they're always worth celebrating. Whether it's a hard-fought victory or a curb stomp, a dub is a dub. So you got to be happy about that. But low ink proves yet again, it all comes down to who can survive the gauntlet of the weekend. And as we didn't really realize, and we do now, it turns out Man to Boat Fan Club was the gauntlet after all. So we'll talk about them and more teams coming up. Right now, though, it's time for the weekly recap. Paddling pool number 281 was won by AEA. Gushing Grannies took second place, and Mango Heck Mech rounds out your top three for this tournament that took place last Wednesday. Gushing Grannies. That is something else right there. What do you mean there's no music? I think it's just too quiet. There we go. 35 teams played in this Wednesday tournament that took place last Wednesday. 35 teams for this weekly. Weeklies are getting registration back up. Things are picking up back into those departments, and it's good to see. Because we've seen some registration dips in the past for some tournaments. Not SOS. SOS number 159 took place on Wednesday night. Fake plus twos and Polly won the tournament. Essentially, Duck Motif finished in second place, and Bad Piggies rounds out your top three. SOS fell off a little bit here. They fell off. They only had 73 teams that signed up this month, or this week. Only 73. Time to close up shop for SOS. Obviously, this tournament is not what it used to be a week ago. Hammerhead bracket was won by Hotline Bling. Mako bracket was won by Hey Mom Rez here. And Lantern bracket was won by My Vac Shots Sound Like Bongos. Triton Cup number 80 was won by Fat Kid. This kind of emote right here won second place, and Hooray rounds out your top 3. This tournament took place on Friday afternoon, the same time. I actually rated this right after the Popcast. 29 teams played in this double elimination splat zone only tournament that was won by a Fat Kid. Congratulations to you. Squid Junction number 75 was won by Heim Fan Club. Bonsai took second place. And Super Fighting Me Team Supreme is the team that took home the bronze. A lot of fan clubs lately. Is fan club just what you do when you don't want to come up with a pickup team name? Actually, I like this. I like the fact that we're doing fan clubs. Fan club is a much better pickup team name than anything else. You at least get one player we all know that's on that team, and then we can kind of guess who the other 3 are. So I'm all for fan clubs. It is still a little bit conceited if you were to be a part of a fan club that is yourself. I would never be a part of a Pop Gun fan club because I'm not that conceited unless I am. The 75th edition of this bi-weekly double elimination tournament of Squid Junction 75, a solid, consistent tourney that is approaching their 100 tournament milestone. Smogdon Starlight took place on Sunday. It was won by Meta, who put Duck on Deco Wiper, finished in second place. Jasmine J. Jess James is the team that finished in third place. That third place team is literally just the names of the players that are on it. This was a weapon restriction tournament that had a coffin and a wheezing bracket. 31 teams played in it. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by the idiots in chat. That's right, you guys. You guys are the sponsor of today's segment of the weekly recap. And the only reason I'm making you guys the sponsor is because I forgot to write down a joke for the sponsor of today's weekly recap. So we're just going to give it to you guys. You guys deserve it. Unless you don't. Today's sponsor of the weekly recap. Now, okay, Camo Inc. really is sponsoring it. Thank you. Curl Streak's going to Riptide, ain't you? I should start looking at that. It's going to take forever for me to write the preview for this thing. How many attendees right now are just signed up for Splatoon? Not including spectators. And I guess, though, yeah, there's the college tournament going on as well. Does anyone want to play 3v3 volleyball with me next year? Because you need to make a team early, because those things sell out pretty quickly. 446 people are signed up for Riptide. Splatoon 3 only. Like 2,300 are going to the event altogether. How many teams as of right now would that be? Event Splatoon 3. 103 teams, but I'm assuming that number is going to go down because some of these teams are just like one player. Goss is still signed up by themselves. That's a lot of teams. It's going to be a fun weekend. Yep, tied with some OGs. Okay, cool. I'll see you there. Several other people. Now, who did good in this tournament? Manta Boat Fan Club. Okay, well, who else did good in this tournament? Let's take a look at the winners from Saturday. Starting with the Swiss stage. First off, give a shout out to Starfish, who went 5-1 on the Swiss stage, getting key wins over Lychee Jelly. Oh, we're already starting off with a weird name. Lychee Jelly, Solid Snakes, Royalty, Teletubbies Dorito, and the Origami Dragons. Starfish went 4-2 in May, going 5-1 3 months later, qualifying for Alpha Bracket. Nicely done to them. And I don't think isn't there the team called the Starfish Hunters? Starfish didn't have to play them. That's nice. Rewind went 5-1 in this tournament, getting key wins over Hoy Happen, Danupamp, Fearless, Freak Force, and Microwave Mode. Okay, I'm really starting to appreciate fan clubs now because that is much better than the team called Freak Force. We run out of good team names? We probably have. Rewind went 5-1 this tournament. They went 3-3 in June. Rewind, welcome to Alpha Bracket. And with how well you did, welcome probably to the top 10 next month, which means welcome to being back to 3-3 maybe the next month because apparently it's cursed being top 10 now. Nicely done, Rewind. Be kind. Please rewind. Teletubbies Dorito went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over a Coughing Baby, Size Gia, Lost Inklings. Thank you, Lost Inklings, for having an easily pronounceable name. And Chroma. Teletubbies Dorito got second place last month, and they are at least proving they can be consistent, getting 4-2. Let's see you guys get 5-1 next month. It's time to take that next step. You're being consistently 4-2. Let's take that next step, Teletubbies Dorito. Teletubbies Cool Ranch Dorito would go 5-1. Last Squid Standing went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Metapholic, Magic Beans, Wavelength, and Ethereal. Part of the reason why I struggle with reading these things is because I'm also reading my own handwriting. So, which you think I would be really good at by now, but obviously I'm not. Last Squid Standing went 4-2 in this tournament. In April, the last time they played in Low Ink, they did not even qualify for Sunday. But this time around, they found their way into Beta Bracket in August. Nice little glow up for them. There's only one way this tournament ends. Last Squid Standing. Confi Team went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Maxwell Fan Club, another fan club, Bracket Reset, Fearless, and Coughing Baby. Wow, a lot of people were getting wins over Coughing Baby. That's unfortunate. Confi Team also has the bear and like a flower emote, which makes it really easy to look for them on Battlefy. They are a From the Ink Up team that is going to be working their way out of From the Ink Up at the rate they are growing and progressing, getting their way into Beta Bracket. Nicely done to them. Mako Woohoo! Woohoo! Went 5-1 in this tournament, getting a win over Person in Suit, Yggdrasil, YGGDR. There's no way that's an actual word. Infinity, Inkbound, and Splatscad Black Team. This is a mix of Low Ink veterans, this Maka Woohoo team, who went 5-1 in their first time playing in Low Ink, qualifying for Alpha Bracket. Jet Lag, which some of you will be, none of you should be experiencing that unless you're coming over from Europe for Riptide, but Jet Lag went 4-2, getting key wins over Krill Streak. I'm sure they got lucky. I'm sure they just got lucky against you guys. Honor Bound, the Black Squid, Ink Burger, and Sea Dragons. They went 4-2 2 months in a row, which is consistency. You like to see consistency out of Jet Lag, but it's time to take the step up to being a 5-1 Alpha Bracket team. Go play with the big boys. Squid Est went 5-1 in this tournament, getting key wins over Solar Flare, Preference Perch, Inkbound, Hibiscus, and y'all got any lamps? They are no longer just a silly pun, Squid S. They're now a pretty solid, strong team. Did decently well in Alpha Brackets, but it's the fact that they made Alpha Bracket that makes it worthwhile. We're going 5-1, expecting good things in the future from Squid S. Splat Squad Black Team went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Tuna Fish, Magical Cure Love, Hate Your Font on Your Name, Goose Chase, and 25% Maple Syrup, 75% Freedom. when you just look over those last 3 wins, that is a really solid quality 4-2 win that Splat Scad Black Team got. They did. You'd like to see a team like this go 5-1, and obviously this might have been a team I probably missed and should have put in the top 10 just based on the past results that they have, but they're moving in the right direction. However, none of these teams, not a one, gets the award for being the best winner over the course of Saturday. There can only be one best winner, and in this case, that goes to Non-Binary Fuzz, who went 5-1 on Saturday, getting key wins over Drum and Bass, Ink Floyd, The Night Logic, Infinity, and Be Happy. Non-Binary Fuzz, and I'm being full honestly about this. This was a team I used to talk about as just like, how can Fuss be any kind of binary or anything like that? It makes no sense. But now they would be not a dark horse for most improved team of the year. I think they are one of the top contenders for most improved team of the year, which will be in December. We don't do the awards in the middle of the year because that's just half of the year. Non-Binary Fuss has improved dramatically, and this 5-1 record dropped my jaw when I saw it and made me realize, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Maybe they're just that damn good, and they're getting the results to back it up. Nicely done to them. Now, nobody cares about Saturday. Saturday means nothing. Saturday is just the appetizer to the actual Sunday tournament. So let's take a look. Starting with Gamer Bracket here. We can zoom in a little bit to make this more visually appealing. First off, the teams we want to give a shout out to in Gamma Bracket. We're going to give a little shout out here to Chroma, who crossed out the O, so maybe it's just Chroma. Maybe they don't want you to actually say the O. I'm going to say it anyways. Chroma. They ended up finding their way to winners finals before Tidy Tidings did them in. But winning a lot of game 5s along the way. We Aquatic Little Creatures, 3-2. Person in Suit. What is the full name of this team? Person in Suit, levitating emoji. I didn't even realize that was a emoji to be had, but there you go. They got a win against them at 3-2, and then I think afterwards just kind of got swept out of things. But still, Chroma, who are they? They are a team that made the playoffs in Division number 7. So, yes, even Division 7 was popping off in this tournament, getting 3rd place in a Gamma Bracket that was extremely hard to get into. You could have gone 4-2 in a tournament like this and made Gamma Bracket. Now, why is that? It's because we have that awkward number. When you are just barely below 128, those are the toughest tournaments to make Alpha Bracket in, because like a smaller percentage of teams are actually making, like, moving on with a chance to win the whole tournament, as opposed to if we did the 4 Swiss groups top 32 format. So you could have gone 4-2, which I believe like Bracket Reset or some of these other teams did. You didn't even make Beta Bracket. You could have made Alpha, but you fell all the way to Gamma. So this is a tough bracket. There are no cupcakes here. Every one of these wins is quality to get and good. So 3rd place is nothing to sneeze at. Ugh. Person in Suit levitating emoji got 4th place in this tournament, getting some decent wins both on the winner side and the loser side of things. Technically upsetting Bracket Reset, if you want to call it an upset. Lost Inklings, that's a quality win, 3-2. Losing in a game 5 to the team that finished 3rd place overall. Div 5 Sakiznaga, very experienced team that's been around for a while. They ended their run in what is traditionally a trap game for teams that lose these semifinals. They got a win over here in game 3 before the Lost Inklings got revenge against them 2-0. So Person in Suit, a levitating emoji. This was one of the last teams to pick up, to sign up. And there's no way this is anything but a pickup with a name like this. I do appreciate the fact, though, that they have the emoji right next to the explanation of what it is. So it's like, okay, in case you can't figure it out, because I would not assume this is, they described it afterwards as well. So they put effort into that. I hope that's not the reason why they were one of the last teams to sign up. Like maybe it's getting close to time. Well, we only got 10 minutes to get all of our splash tags in. No, let me explain in our name what this emoji is. I appreciate that. Honor Bound finished in 5th place right here, getting a couple wins on the winner side of things. Magic Beans 2-0, Gistra 3-1. Took a game off of Tidings. I think they're one of the few teams that actually do that, other than this team in the beginning here. And then Lost Inklings did them in. Honor Bound got 9th in Gamma Bracket last time that they played. They got 5th in Gamma Bracket this time around. And I believe they went 2-4 back in May. So if they've improved from 2-4 to consistent, tough Gamma Bracket selections standings, nicely done to them. Lost Inklings finished in 2nd place here. Who knocked... Oh, Person in Suit Levitating knocked them out. I got to give credit to Lost Inklings because they're going to win. Eventually, it's going to be their time. But I appreciate the fact that they still play in these other brackets. They're getting the experience of playing on Sunday, even if it's not an alpha bracket, which they have been to before. And again, even if they didn't, I wouldn't condemn them. I know there's some people that are like, oh, you should play no matter what bracket you get. I'm not one of those people. I completely understand why teams say, I'm out. I'm not going to be playing in this one. But I still respect Lost Inklings for doing this, and I feel like these wins they're going to be getting, I mean, this is strong competition they're going to go up against here. Eventually, this is going to pay off for them. It's going to happen. Just not against Tidy Tidings. And if you're wondering who Tidy Tidings is, the team that only lost 2 games in Gamma Bracket all day long, they, according to our notes, have a lot of PP practice. And I hope to God that PP practice means paddling pool practice. And if that is the case, then good. Nicely done to them. Their paddling pool practice paid off here. Tidy Tidings, which is an absolute nightmare of a team name to pronounce. They curb stomped this Gamma Bracket as the number 2 seed and saying, hey, move us up to beta next time. We'd like to take a shot at those teams. Several highlighted messages, which you can't see on YouTube because I forgot to add a comment section here on this screen. We'll get through them real quick. Jordan Pye says, Person Levitating in Suit emoji was on the standby list for day 2 and squeaked into Gamut for other teams not checking in. That is true. I didn't pay attention to the Sunday who dropped afterwards. I think a couple of Alpha Bracket teams dropped, actually. But that would make sense. Just to add some more context to this kind of this matchup, the team that kind of wants to be in another bracket versus the team that's just like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know we were going to play today. Like, this upset happens all the time. It is not a surprise. We've had teams who got moved up to Game of Bracket who've won it in the past as well. So this doesn't surprise me, just given that additional context. To be honest, I put the name of the emoji in just in case we were on stream or did well enough to show up there to be sure that you or any commentators would know what emoji it is. You think I don't know what a person in a suit levitating looks like? It is hard to tell that this person's levitating, though. There's not a whole lot of context. And quite honestly, it doesn't even look like a person in a suit when it's that small. So, thank you. Lost Inklings had a rough day 1, including needing to play 3v4 for a while. Still happy we made a run in Gamma. Fair enough. We're going to get rid of the 3v4 rule, though. We keep talking about it, and we never actually do it, but I'm going to commit to doing it. You are not going to be allowed to play 3v4 anymore in these tournaments. You need to either get a sub or take an L for the round. I'm not scolding you, Hammy. You brought it up, and that just popped into my mind that I need to talk to Brush about that at some point. Beta bracket. First off, we're going to talk to disclaimer. Disclaimer here, doing really well. Pushing this team 25 maple syrup, 75% freedom, all the way to a game 5 at the winner's side of the bracket. Disclaimer did really well before getting eliminated losers finals, taking home third place. So Disclaimer got here because they got 2 wins. They got a bye in round 2, and then one of their opponents dropped, and they were wondering what are the odds of us getting 2 buys in a Swiss round. I think it's mathematically impossible. I don't think Battlefy can give you 2 buys purposely. Now, a team dropping doesn't count as a buy, but that's something they just brought up, and it's like, they were like, well, what if it does happen? And it's like, if it does, go buy a lottery ticket, because I don't think it's even mathematically possible. Well, they got a couple of free wins, but it's not like they didn't deserve to be in beta bracket. Oh my gosh, they looked really good here. Sweeping microwave mode, wavelength. Royalty took a game off them, pushed this team to a game 5 before just running out of steam. Disclaimer looked really good. You don't need free wins, Disclaimer, although it does help. Maybe it helps with your stamina. I don't know. Microwave mode. I talked about how they lost to Disclaimer. Well, they turned on the Jets here, winning 4 straight games in losers bracket, including against Last Squid Standing. Magical Cure Love. Look at this mess. Jet lag, royalty, and then the land is inhospitable, but so are we doing them in. So if you're wondering who Microwave Mode is, this is a new team made up of some players that went 3-3 back into June. Well, those players can now say they came oh so close to making podium in a very competitive beta bracket. Good job to them. Inkbound. Another one of these teams that made a loser's bracket run. They lose immediately, pushing 25 maple syrup to a game 3. And then they beat Team Friendship. They beat Friendship. Confi team with the little bear and heart. They got rid of them. Inkception. You need to wake up and get out of beta bracket. We're on a roll. The land is inhospitable. Uh-oh. They did them in. So who's Inkbound? Inkbound is a new team that is made up of some legit low ink veteran players. And Inkbound has to be an actual team. No pickup would use the word ink in their name. So this has to be an actual team. They're going to be making a Twitter account if they don't have one already. We'll see them next month, I'm sure. The team that finished in second place, 25% maple syrup, 75% freedom. This could only be a Canadian team. This team won from the Ink Up, according to our notes, which is impressive. And if that doesn't get you banned from the Ink Up, I think getting second place in beta bracket, where you crush a lot of these teams along the way, does. The only problem is they either ran out of steam or didn't know how to manage this break a little bit, because they led into a monster who just beat them 6-0. So who is this monster? A team called The Land is Inhospitable, and so are we. Well, maybe you are. Who's the team that puts you down in the loser side? Actually, no. 25% maple syrup's the one that beat them 3-0. So just sweeping back and forth. A little rock the boat situation going on right here. A little seesaw. Ending into the land is his spot in the land's favor. So according to our notes, the land went 2-4 in June. And winning beta bracket always means good thing the next month. So we could see 2-4 next low ink, winning beta bracket, next low ink, podium of alpha. I'm calling it right now. The land will be inhospitable in September. Nicely done to them in this one. Alpha brackets. Get out your brooms. There's going to be a lot of sweeping going on here. First off, shout out to this team, Zyphus. They went 6-0 on Saturday, which is impressive in its own right, and ended up being the only team taking a game off of Man to Boat fan club along the way. I think they got eliminated right after their first loss. So they went 7-0 to start the tournament, and then just took 2 L's to a couple of pretty solid teams. The only teams that beat them finished first and third overall in this tournament. Nobody else was able to beat them. That's a tough beat, but I wasn't really expecting this team, and I didn't really know who they were, but they made some noise along the way, and it is something that should be noted. even if they didn't get like the nice final standing, you still look at how well they did against all the teams they played, and you're like, oh, these guys are actually really good. Shellfire is one of these teams in the 13th spot. Now, I got to look this up real quick. And since you guys are here, we'll look it up too. So, did Shellfire finish in 10th place? No, they finished 8th. Okay. I'm thinking of a different team. I don't know who I'm thinking of. But Shellfire, okay, I thought there was a team that like moved their way up in the alpha bracket because somebody dropped, but I might have been looking at the wrong month. So Shellfire got in as one of. Okay, so here's the thing with Shellfire though, they would have been the 10th team to get in. Well, no, somebody did drop. This Teletubby Doritos got in. But Shellfire, I believe only one 4 and 2 team from each group got in. And that would have been in Shellfire in this situation as the 8th seed. They lose in round 1 and then turn things around. Glorp God 502, they swept them. Squid S 2-1. Chocolate Therapy 2-1. Caught Rewind. I believe we actually streamed this one and I called it out. I was like, this is usually a trap game for teams like Rewind, and they did just that. Shellfire ended up taking 4th place. A 4 and 2 team getting 4th place overall, just running into a buzzsaw of the hybrid family. It's tough to win Loic all the way through. We have had teams before in the past. Lois, I believe, being the first team ever in January of 22 to lose round 1 and win all of Alpha Bracket, making a run through losers bracket. That was the infamous Loic versus Access Denied set. But Shellfire getting all the way to 4th place is still kind of incredible. Given where they barely even got into this tournament to begin with, or Alpha to begin with. Sonora, I think I owe Sonora an apology. Because we had them seeded as if you're not familiar with how we seed teams into Low-Income and Swiss, we give you a 1 or a 6, a 1 through a 6 on verification, and then when it comes times for Swiss, we throw all the 1-ins first and then throw all the 6s in last. So the 1s will play the 6s, the 2s will play the 4s, and then that's how round 1 traditionally works if I don't screw up seeding Group B. Oops. But Sonora was a 1 seed based off of our verification, and I didn't put them in the top 10. I think I'd looked at their Ludi and was like, I don't think their Ludi was that good, but obviously I could have put them in the top 10, and they would have been the best team if I had done that. They got a couple of wins here. Splatscad, that's a great win. That's a tough team to go up against to get a win. Squid S, they got a win against them as well. Just ran into a buzzsaw along the way, lost 5 straight to close up the tournament, but still tied for 5th place. Sonora, strong team. I feel like I legit owe them an apology. Some of these other teams, there's like no way you could have saw this coming. Sonora, we probably should have, or I probably should have saw it coming, so I apologize for that. We Rewind. Big blow up for them. Glorp God 502, get out of here. Who is this? Spatialicious and the Mulchers. That is a team name. Rewind beat them 3-0. And then I think that was it for Rewind. I think they ran into the buzzsaw. A couple different buzzsaws here. So Rewind, this is a huge glow up for them. As I mentioned before, they were a 3-3 team in June, and now they're tied for 5th place in Alpha Bracket. So the question now is, for Rewind, who is an actual legit team that's been playing in Loinks for a while now, is this the new standard? Is this who you really are? Or is there going to be other teams that are going to step up next month and try to take their spot? We'll find out, but you can't argue. A dub is a dub, and this is a good placement for Rewind. A huge glow up for them. The hybrid family, this is where I start to think, what is going on with our tournament? The hybrid family, who finished in 3rd place after getting all these wins through losers' side. In fact, only losing 1 game until they finally just ran out of gas against Meows the Chance. The hybrid family got 3rd place in Little Squid League 2 weeks ago. And now they're getting 3rd place in Low 8. That is bizarre. That is really bizarre. That's That should not be happening in theory. Is this like I don't even know how to explain that other than the hybrid family just is just that good. But it just further drives home the point that Ludi divs are no longer relevant anymore because, well, things like that are happening. Shoutouts to the hybrid family, though. They did really well on their run through this tournament. They seem to be an actual legit team, not just a pickup. Although the hybrid family sounds like the perfect pickup team name because of what a hybrid is. For Meow's the chance. I think I'm definitely guilty of this, and whenever you talk to Meows the Chance or see them in the Battlefly chat, they're always talking about like, hey, we're Australian. So like we always just talk about these teams as like, hey, their gimmick is that they're from Australia. And it's like we don't do that anywhere else. Like maybe we'll talk about an EU team just by referencing the fact that, you know, it's getting late for them. But we never go, oh, these players are from Chicago or, you know, like anything. Like we don't talk about like where anybody else is from. And it's unfortunate. I know why. I know why we do. It's because they're playing on a completely different day from everybody else, and it's a completely different tournament for them given the time that they have to start playing. And I know we get people all the time like, man, it's not fair that Australia has to play through this. If there's an Australian pop gun that wants to create a low ink, by all means, nothing's stopping you from doing it. But this is just the nature of the beast. Australian teams, Oceania teams have won low ink before, referencing Lois yet again. And not just Lois. There's been a bunch of others that have done it in the past as well. This team looks like they came close to doing it. You just don't want to play the card of, oh, whether they ran out of gas. And like, do you know if they actually did or not? Or if they just ran into a team that was just better and that nobody was going to beat, which seems to be the case with Manta Boat Fan Club. Again, only one loss, sweeping everybody else. Chocolate Therapy. That seems counterproductive with a name like that. But everybody else, I mean, just a historic, just one loss, but sweeping all the way through is not really something you ever see ever in low ink, especially from a team that was 4-2 the last time that they played in low ink in April. Eliminated by the Whip Rays. The Whip Rays eliminated them in round 2. I want to say a beta bracket, actually. So what's next? The question of the week, and something I've always been seeing across the board, is like, oh, well, we're banned from low ink. That means we're Div 4. No, it doesn't. We're mid-level. No, it doesn't. That's not what any of that means. Is Manta Boat Fan Club like automatically Div 4 right now? Here's the thought I just want to put in your mind as we're kind of moving forward. The next Ludi will be, what, 6 years from now? But when that happens, I'm going to be keeping tally of how many teams we banned from now and then. So far, we banned 10 teams last month. We banned 10 teams last month. Then, well, 10 teams for this low ink got banned. Well, now you throw in 11 because Manta Boat Fan Club is a part of that as well. Is there enough room if everybody signed up that played in the last Ludi season from Div X to Div 4, if all those teams come back, is there 11 teams that can be automatically put up into that Div 4 div and 11 teams that were like, yeah, we got to move you guys back down to Div 5? It was painstaking to get Div 4 last season to work out. And we're going to have a lot more banned teams between now and next then. So what Manta Boat Fan Club does going forward will justify that div that you guys always like to give yourselves in reality versus the div estimates that you're going to be giving yourselves between now and the next 4 or 5 months or so before the next Ludi season happens. So don't just my thoughts to anybody who got banned this weekend. Don't get complacent. You've been banned from low ink because we don't want you there anymore. We think you're too good. Now you got to go out and prove it and earn it every single tournament you play in. Hopefully that becomes the case for Manta Boat Fan Club because there's nothing left for them to prove in low ink. I'm surprised they won. I hesitate to apologize because why would you think a 4-2 beta bracket team from a month ago was going to win the whole tournament? But hey, they did it. And it's much better to win Loink than the Division 6. So you got that going for you as well. Nicely done, Manta Boat Fan Club. Oh, gosh. That's going to do it for today's episode of the Popcast. We got a long weekend ahead of us. A nice 3-day weekend. We will be back on Monday with the Riptide preview, though. I'll have the day off, so I'll have plenty of time to write. If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, good morning, Australia. Please feel free to reach out my socials below. Twitter, Mr._Popgun. Discord at Popgun. Blue Sky at Popgun. YouTube at 25Popgun. Twitch at Popgun25. Anchor.fm/Popgun. I don't know if Rose is going to Riptide, but we will raid them anyways. Getting my flu and COVID vaccine on Friday. Make sure you do the same. Thank you for subscribing. Acing bye. What did I not do this like a day? Oh, I don't know. I'm done reading. Reading's done.